Black people, we are all we have. Stop begging this system to justify our lives. Stop begging this system for justice. When things happen to you, you step up and defend yourself. Just like everybody else seeks justice on their own, just like everybody else has vigilantes, we need some black vigilantes.
And with that, the internet exploded. That is Hawk Newsome, co-founder of BLM New York. You've seen him on this show and others at NewsNation, a lot of media appearances. And he's very angry right now because he believes that Daniel Penny, the man acquitted in the death of a black homeless man on the New York City subway after choking him to restrain him with other men, was a miscarriage of justice. It was injustice. Now, I want to bring in Professor Alan Dershowitz to talk about what the equities are involved with this decision. Harvard Law Professor Emeritus, obviously. It's good to see you, Professor. The seminal argument is flip the races. If Neely is white and Penny is black, you don't see all these people celebrating him just doing the right thing. You don't hear the message that you would have chilled people trying to help. And who knows, he may have been convicted. Fair or unfair as an analogy?
Well, it's a fair analogy. Look, this was a tragedy. Nobody really accuses Penny of intending to kill Neely. He wasn't even charged with that. He was charged with criminal negligence and manslaughter, and the jury ruled that he was not guilty of all that. But then you get this guy, and he quoted him outside the courtroom, but I want to quote him inside the courtroom. He walks up to Penny, and he says to him, "It's a small world, buddy." And people in the room were just shocked. This is a veiled threat, at the very least a veiled threat. If I were Penny, I'd be going out and getting an armed guard now. And he doesn't tell anybody, this Black Lives Matter guy, that the vast majority of interracial crimes committed in New York are committed by Black people against white people, many of them against Jewish people in Crown Heights, in Brooklyn, and other areas of Hasidic Jews. There is a problem, and the problem is a racial problem. And this guy would never have been prosecuted if the races were reversed, and he wasn't going to be prosecuted. They decided not to prosecute him until the pressures from outside forced Bragg to bring the prosecution, which I think he knew he was probably going to lose, but he couldn't really avoid the pressure. So, we have to put everything in perspective and everything in context. There are racial problems, and there are Black people who are unfairly treated, and Black lives do matter. But Black Lives Organization has really done a disservice by calling for Black vigilantism and threatening a former Marine who thought he was doing the right thing. Maybe he went too far. That's a fair point to make.
Well, look, you also have, I'm not pointing this out to you, but to the audience, there's civil exposure here. I'm sure the Neely family is going to bring a wrongful death suit against Penny, and they may win. It's a different legal standard. It's a different burden of proof. And who knows? Maybe, a lot of people believe that was the best place that this should have been originally, not criminally. The only thing I disagree with you about, Professor, and just so the audience knows, I had Lee Merritt, a civil rights attorney, represented Ahmaud Arbery and many others. He was going to do this. He had to catch a flight. He literally left during the show. He was going to do this segment with Dershowitz. That's why he's here. But let's be honest. You don't have to be a person of color to be an ally to racial justice and to see inequities in the system. The idea that Bragg, hold on, Professor, the idea that Bragg couldn't avoid the pressure, give me a break. Of course he could have avoided the pressure. He wanted to play into the pressure, would be my argument.
No, we're not disagreeing. I misspoke. He didn't want to avoid the pressure. He's running for re-election. Right. He had two major cases. One is this one, which he's lost. The other one is the Trump case, which will be reversed on appeal if he allows an appeal to go forward. And if he has to run for re-election next year with two losses on his record, he's in real trouble, even though he's a Democrat and Democrats always win in New York. He could be primaried. The big issue is that we should try to bring people together, not use instances like this to divide people along racial lines. There are real problems of how we treat the homeless, how we treat the mentally ill, particularly how we treat poor and homeless Black people. He never should have been in a situation where he was on a subway yelling things like that. And we should deal with these problems in that manner. Bringing a criminal case is the worst way to resolve it. I agree with you. A civil case is fine, but in a civil case, question will be asked of the father. You know, he's bringing the case.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.